Hey guys, Arik is here, your Russian coach. Welcome to our free Russian school for advanced learners. Please open your learning materials. We are working on the article «Мнемоника для иностранных языков». Что реально помогает? So, mnemonics for foreign languages. What really helps? If by chance you do not have it printed, you always have a link below this video. But it's much better if you print it out so that you can learn interactively. You can underline things, you can write the definitions above the word and stuff like that. And later on, if something hasn't been explained well, you can always post your questions down below in the comment section. So look, I'm going to remind you what we have learned so far. They're talking about mnemonics, which are connections that we make in our mind in order to learn the words or whatever chunks of information. And we said that, first of all, they mentioned the techniques of mnemonics. We learned that in our previous lesson, one of the previous lessons. You remember associация, visualizaция, etc. And then they said that they actually asked ChatGPT to give 10 very difficult words in English. Yeah, and they say we actually haven't read it, but we will skip this part. We will start after that because obviously, if you're an English-speaking person, you will know those words. So that's fine. So we will start. We'll start today from here, guys. Как все это запомнить? How to remember all that? So basically it's really interesting because right now they're going to give us the examples of how to create mnemonics for our learning languages. Obviously, if you're an English speaker, you won't need those particular words, but out of their examples, you can just find out how to use it for any kind of words. So they're asking, we're starting from here. Как все это запомнить? Как все это запомнить? Вот тут нам и пригодится мнемоника для изучения иностранных языков. So how to remember all that? Запомнить means to remember. Вот тут, it's an expression meaning exactly here. Exactly here. Нам и пригодится. So, и пригодится, you can underline that as an expression. Actually, no, you can skip и. It doesn't have lots of content, meaning here in this sentence. So пригодится means will be useful. And нам пригодится, нам means to us. So to us will be useful. And и here you can just skip. It's kind of a helping word, but it doesn't have a lot of meaning here. Doesn't have meaning. So нам и пригодится мнемоника для изучения иностранных языков. So they say, вот тут нам и пригодится мнемоника для изучения иностранных языков. Exactly here, to us, will be useful mnemonics for, remember, изучение from the previous lesson means learning. For studying, for learning foreign languages. And then they are moving on to the first word, serendipity. Serendipity, and they translate that into Russian as счастливая случайность. You remember when you have sh, it becomes sh. Like считать, to count, счастье, happiness, etc. So, счастливая случайность. Случайность would be coincidence. And счастливая would be lucky. Lucky feminine form. So, счастливая случайность would be a lucky coincidence. And that's serendipity. And then they say, читается слитно, как serendipity. Читается слитно, как serendipity, с ударением на «ди». So, читается слитно. Слитно means in one chunk. Слитно. In one chunk. And читается means is read. That's passive. Yeah? Читается. So is read like slitna, as one chunk, like in an uninterrupted way, you could say slitna. You can underline slitna in an uninterrupted way. So it's read in an uninterrupted way, как, as, serendipity, like in Russian. С ударением. Ударение means emphasis. So с ударением means with the emphasis. С ударением на D, with the emphasis on D. Yeah, serendipity. Уточним, что значок ударения ставится перед ударным слогом. So, уточним in Russian, when they say уточним, it's like in English you would say please note. So уточним что, please note that. But уточнить by itself means to make it more precise. Because точно means precisely. So уточнить, make it more precise. So уточним что, please note that. Значок. Значок means a little sign. A big sign would be знак. Значок would be a little sign. And do you remember ударение? Знак ударения comes from ударение, from the previous sentence. Ударение means emphasis. So значок ударения would mean a sign of emphasis, which is this sign. Ставится. Ставится means is written. Please underline. Ставится is written. Or is printed also. Actually, ставится in more general form, in more general understanding would be is located. But for all intents and purposes, that's is written, is printed. Перед, before, ударным слогом. So слог would be a syllable. That's slog. Ударный слог would be an emphasized syllable, because ударный is the same root as ударение. So, уточним, что значок ударения ставится перед ударным слогом would mean, please note that the little sign of emphasis is printed before the emphasized syllable. В данном случае ударный слог D. So, в данном случае ударный слог D, в данном случае would be in, it's an expression as well, в данном случае, and it means in this given example, or in this given case, в данном случае. In this given case, the emphasized syllable is D. And then they show that this emphasis sign goes before the syllable. So we had the word serendipity, which means the lucky coincidence, and then they say ассоциация. Англичанин, сэр Энди, пил чай и вдруг нашел вдохновение. So the англичанин, the Englishman, Sir Andy, пил chai, drank tea. So serendipity, Sir Andy, pil, it's like pee, chai, tea. Serendipity. И вдруг нашел вдохновение, and suddenly found. Вдохновение means inspiration. Why? So they're connecting the pronunciation part, Sir Andy, P, T. Serendipity, pil chai. So they connect it with the meaning, because meaning is a kind of inspiration, sudden inspiration, or lucky coincidence. And suddenly found inspiration. So please remember, вдохновение means inspiration. And образ means an image. What kind of image you should remember? Представьте, как некий сэр Энди случайно поймал вдохновение, пока пил чай. Представьте means imagine. So представьте как means imagine how, or imagine that. like directly, the direct translation would be imagine how, but the meaning is imagine that. Neki means certain. Neki, certain. So imagine how, or imagine that certain Sir Andy, случайно, by accident, that's случайно, by accident. Поймал means caught. Вдохновение, remember from the previous sentence, inspiration. Пока пил чай. So пока, that's not пока-пока, that's while. So пока пил чай, while drank tea. But in English, obviously, while drinking tea. So, again. Представьте, как некий сэр Энди случайно поймал вдохновение, пока пил чай. Imagine that a certain Sir Andy by accident caught inspiration while drinking tea. And then we have our next word, discombobulated. And they translate that into Russian as растерянный. Растерянный is kind of confused, embarrassed. That's растерянный. Okay, and now we will skip. It's a kind of a promotion here. We will skip it. We are getting up to here. Читается как. So читается как discombobulated с ударением на ба. So it just repeats itself. It is read as discombobulated с ударением, with the emphasis, с ударением на, with the emphasis on ба. And then they say ударение внизу строки означает слабое вторичное ударение, в отличие от сильного или основного первичного. Произношение можно проверить, нажав на значок репродуктора на английской стороне Google переводчика. Okay, by the way, here there is a mistake. They should have put this apostrophe not above, but below. Below, because they are talking about the secondary emphasis. They are saying ударение внизу строки. So внизу means below, like in the lower part. That's внизу. So and строки comes from строка, that is line. So they are saying ударение внизу строки, so the emphasis in the lower part of the line. And here there is a mistake because they put it in the above part, like above, but they should have put it below. Означает слабое вторичное ударение. Означает means. Означает. Please underline and write means if you're not familiar. Слабое means weak. And вторичное means secondary. Secondary. Therefore, ударение внизу строки означает слабое вторичное ударение would be the emphasis внизу, in the lower part of the line, means a weak secondary emphasis. В отличие от сильного, или основного первичного, в отличие от, it means as differs from, or as opposite to. As opposite to. Now, сильного comes from сильный, which is strong. Основного comes from основной, which is like fundamental. Основной, fundamental. So they are saying that when it's below, it means that it is a weak secondary emphasis, в отличие от сильного или основного первичного. So as differs, as opposite to the strong or the fundamental, the first. Первичного means like the first, the main. That's первичный. Yeah, you understand, right? They're talking about emphasis, the sign of emphasis. And then they say, Произношение можно проверить, нажав на значок репродуктора на английской стороне Google переводчика. So, произношение means pronunciation. Можно проверить, можно, it is possible. Проверить, to check. Нажав на. So, нажав на means pressing on, like pressing something. Нажав на, please underline, and right above that, pressing. What is значок, do you remember? It means a sign, little sign. Репродуктора. So, репродуктор would be a speaker. It's a good word. So, репродуктор, please underline, right, speaker. На английской стороне, on the English side. Google переводчика. Переводчик means translator. So, Google Translator. Yeah? So, Google Translator. So, now look how it all works together. Произношение можно проверить, нажав на значок репродуктора на английской стороне Google переводчика. So, the pronunciation, it is possible to check. In English we would say it's possible to check the pronunciation. Нажав на значок репродуктора, pressing on the sign of the speaker, на английской стороне Google переводчика, on the English side of Google Translator. Yeah, so, and they are encircling here the reproductor, this sign. Okay, but anyway, so we had this word discombobulated, which means confused or embarrassed. So, ассоциация. Диско, Бобик улетел, и все растерялись, увидев такое зрелище. So, association. So, we already had this or very similar sentence at the last lesson. So, I'm just reminding you that Bobik is a very common name for a dog, for a little dog in Russia. So, Диско, Бобик улетел, like disco, Bobik, улетел, flew away. So, disco Bobik, it doesn't make sense, but they are explaining by saying obraz, the image. Disco Bobik, disco little dog, flew away. И все растерялись. And everyone, все, everyone got confused, растерялись, got confused, got embarrassed, like didn't know what to do. Увидев такое зрелище, увидев means seeing such, and зрелище means spectacle. So please underline, зрелище, spectacle. So увидев такое зрелище would mean seeing such a spectacle. So disco Bobik улетел, и все растерялись, увидев такое зрелище. So disco Bobik. And ulated, like combobulated. It reminds улетел, right? Flew away. And everyone got embarrassed seeing such a spectacle. Now, образ, image. На дискотеке собачка Бобик улетела в небо с шарами. Все в шоке и замешательстве. Замешательство means confusion. So, на дискотеке собачка Бобик улетела в небо с шарами. So, on the disco, at the disco, a little dog, собачка, a little dog Bobik, flew away into the sky with balloons. Шарами, yeah? Шар, balloon. Шары, balloons. With balloons. Все в шоке, so everyone is in shock. И замешательстве, and confusion. Okay, so that's the image. And then we had another word. Gabbledygook. Okay, which means бессмыслица абракадабра. Бессмыслица means nonsense. And abracadabra basically pretty much the same in this context. Читается как, so it's read at gabbledygook. Yeah? С основным ударением на га в начале слова. So we said с основным ударением, with the fundamental, with the like main, yeah? In this case, основной means main. with the main stress on ga at the beginning of the word. Габелтигак. Ассоциация. Гоблин диктует гак. Что это за чушь? So goblin is a mythic creature, you know, goblin, yeah? It's kind of a creature from tales. Dictuit dictates. And gak is just kind of a made-up word in this context. So goblin dictates this word gak. Что это за чушь? Чушь means nonsense. But you can underline что за чушь or что это за чушь. Those are two expressions with the same meaning. Что за чушь? Что за чушь? Что это за чушь? It means what is this nonsense? What's this nonsense? Что за чушь? What's this nonsense? So goblin dictates the word gak. What is this nonsense about? And then образ, the image. Гоблин что-то бормочет. Сплошная бессмыслица. So goblin. Now бормочет means mumbles. To mumble. So goblin mumbles something. Сплошная. Сплошная means... So сплошная бессмыслица basically means utter nonsense. So сплошная in this case means utter. U-T-T-E-R. Utter. И бессмыслица means nonsense. So, yeah. So that's the image of that. Yeah, so goblin. Бормочет, mumbles something. Utter nonsense. Okay. Flummoxed. That's the next word. Flummoxed. And that's сбитый с толку, sorry. Ошеломленный. So it also means confused in Russian. So сбитый с толку means confused, and ошеломленный you might translate that as overwhelmed, unable to think clearly. So that's flummoxed. Сбитый с толку, ошеломленный. Читается как flummoxed с ударением на ме. So it's read as like that, with the emphasis on ме. Association. Фломастер перепутал цвета. Растерялся. So фломастер means marker. Перепутал, confused. Цвета, colors. So the marker, фломастер. Перепутал, mixed. Yeah, because that's flummoxed, yeah? Перепутал, mixed. Цвета, colors. Растерялся, got confused. So фломастер перепутал, flummoxed, like mixed, перепутал. Цвета, colors, and растерялся, got confused. And then образ, the image. Некий художник, рисующий фломастером и не понимающий, почему получается не тот цвет. Некий художник, рисующий фломастером и не понимающий, почему получается не тот цвет. So некий, you remember, it means certain. Художник, painter. Рисующий, painting with. So a certain painter, painting with a marker. You remember, фломастер. И не понимающий, and not understanding. Почему получается не тот цвет? Why? It turns out not the right color. So не тот, it means not the right one, not the right. So и получается means turn, like result, to result in. Получаться means to result in something. Why? It is resulting in not the right color. So again, некий художник, рисующий фломастером и не понимающий, почему получается не тот цвет. So certain painter who is painting with a marker and doesn't understand why it turns out not the right color. Okay guys, so we will stop here in terms of our material today. Now I'm going to read this whole part that we have learned today. and you're going to comprehend it much better now. So we are starting with как это все запомнить, and I'm going to put a link specifically to this reading part below this video. So listen. Как это все запомнить? Вот тут нам и пригодится мнемоника для изучения иностранных языков. Serendipity – счастливая случайность. Читается слитно, как se-ren-di-pt, с ударением на «ди». Уточним, что значок ударения ставится перед ударным слогом. В данном случае ударный слог «ди». Ассоциация. Англичанин сэр Энди пил чай и вдруг нашел вдохновение. Образ. Представьте, как некий сэр Энди случайно поймал вдохновение, пока пил чай. Discombobulated. Растерянный. Читается как discombobulated с ударением на «ба». Ударение внизу строки означает слабое вторичное ударение, в отличие от сильного или основного первичного. Произношение можно проверить, нажав на значок репродуктора на английской стороне Google переводчика. Ассоциация. Диско Бобик улетел, и все растерялись, увидев такое зрелище. Образ. На дискотеке собачка Бобик улетела в небо с шарами. Все в шоке и замешательстве. Габелдигак. Бессмыслица. Абракадабра. Читается как габелдигак с основным ударением на «га» в начале слова. Ассоциация. Гоблин диктует гак. Что это за чушь? Образ. Гоблин что-то бормочет. Сплошная бессмыслица. Flummoxed. Сбитый с толку, ошеломленный. Читается как flummoxed с ударением на «ме». Ассоциация. Фломастер перепутал цвета, растерялся. Образ. Некий художник, рисующий фломастером и не понимающий, почему получается не тот цвет. Okay, that's it, guys. By the way, there is a mistake here because it says regarding the word flummoxed, читается как flummoxed с ударением на «ме», with the emphasis on «ме», but it should have been the emphasis on flummoxed, yeah. So they just made a mistake here. Just for you to know. Okay, guys, so we are going to stop to finish for today. We're going to continue at the next lesson. Like, for me, it's really interesting. I don't know what about you. You can like this video. You can subscribe if it is interesting for you. You can write comments. You can ask your questions in the comments. And this school is going to grow. Right now, it's not very big. It's very small, but it's going to grow. I have just started it. If you need my help privately, please write me an email using the email below, and then we can meet. We can have our first meeting for free without any obligation on your part. I'm going to recommend certain technique for you that are going to speed up your Russian learning big time. So thank you very much, guys. Blessings to you. Bye bye.